Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. I'm my buddy Rhett. I've got an almond for her. There you go, sweetheart. She'll make quick work of that. Nice soft shell. It is 8:16 a.m. Tuesday, August 12th. It's pretty cool outside. It's like 80 degrees or something. It's pretty nice. So, from we are working on basically so basically we're trying to create visualizations, right? And so add viz, add viz, add viz. So you can see these visualizations, and so we're working on the basic what they call CRUD. That's create, read, update, and delete. So right now we see that we can create one because we added one, and we can read it because we show it. And then if I go to this mode, I have a delete button, and so I'll be able to delete, and then I have an update button to be able to update. But I'm just in the middle of working on update, and sort of everything's gone pretty smooth with so far in this effort, but we finally hit our first sort of incomplete, architecturally incomplete piece, or like a little hiccup, a little bump in the road here. But if I hit this button, what happens is this shows up, this visualization shows up. It shows up uh, like it does everywhere else. I believe it's 200 by 200 wide. But what we want to do is make it to where in this view, when we're in the edit view, that it basically gives us all, shows us everything as big as it can show us. So that is the goal, and we're sort of easing in that direction. So basically, I added two inputs, and I gave them a default of 200, which is the default that we've been using. I think that default will eventually go away, but for now, I feel like it's a little bit something we need. Um, so what I'm hoping to do, and basically, if I inspect this, then what you'll see is that I have this guy, and he has this style width and height set to 200. Um, so, and then our canvas's width and height is set to 200. So the goal is to get it to where I push in the actual width and height of this, and the actual, and whatever, however this is generated, which I believe in the renderer is going off the same value. So that's architecturally, there's a lot of moving parts there, and we're just sort of trying to make a best guess as to what the next best thing to do would be. And so my best guess at this point would be to pass in a bigger number and see how this thing responds. How the outer, we know that this guy, the canvas, will stay at 200 by 200, but this outer class should go to 300 by 300. I believe it has it has a different background color called Azure, and so we should see, like, hopefully this is bigger and goes out to here, and we'll see what happens. And since this is in different levels of a hierarchy in a component tree, the timing is not very, like, the timing is not necessarily always super predictable, at least with the amount of knowledge that I have. So when this input gets set to 200 versus when it gets set to the value of whatever is going to set it is to, like, I'm not exactly sure how that's all going to work. So it is possible that it'll do the default 200 and then just stay there because the view init will have already passed. Who knows? But this is a good time to sort of work through that, as opposed to, like, getting everything kind of working and having the form kind of working and all this different stuff, and then trying to figure that out. I think it's easier to get that figured out because basically, it whenever you make decisions, a lot of times you're limiting future decisions, and this needs to work. It has to work. So whatever, I can't afford for this overall effort to make it impossible to resize things based on that. We're not going to get here where it's just always 200 by 200. We have to be able to resize. Um, now we have our viz component. So now we want to do whatever takes our viz component, and yeah, and we have our inside of our components, I believe we have a layouts, and we have our update layout. So that is what holds of is, right? So there it is right there. So since this is going to be like every visualization I've ever worked with has like they kind of started off trying to pass in like an object, but eventually it just became like a giant tree of inputs that you could choose to set or set with defaults. And that's just how it always works out. So anyways, so what we want to do is we're only willing, I think we limited it to only allowing numbers to go in there, and I think by default it will see width. Let's see, is equal to 100. Is that right? Let's go back to our viz component, but not the style, to this component. Yeah, that's right. I think, yeah, I don't know what it's probably complaining about. Just double checking that I did this. See, it's upset that this gets set to a string. And I'm just curious if what if I do this? I don't know if this is possible. Times 1. Oops. Nah, it still won't. Let's see. Nope. All right, so I was kind of hoping to just like write a number in over here, just sort of as our just to sort of step by step get things done, but and then I'm going to call this editor, viewer width. So that's going to be the width of the viewer, and that doesn't exist yet. So I'm going to hit save, which will break down here, and then I'm going to come into here and I'm going to set a viewer width of 300. Okay, so this should fix things. Now, I feel like it's a 50% chance that we'll have it, that the thing will actually be drawn wide. Okay, and the main reason is because I don't know what the timing between the viewer width getting passed in from the parent component and the view init complete. So I mean, I definitely sense we have a long ways to go to get this to work. So it looks like it is in fact 300. I think we can add a viz here, and yeah, maybe not. That was interesting. Update 1. That was interesting. So when we added one from there, it did not redraw here, which is fine. I mean, that's something that shouldn't happen, and you shouldn't be able to do. So that's good. So this is, in fact, doing it right. Now I'm going to add a viewer height. And I think that like this not quite understanding how everything is going to work when you're trying to build stuff is sort of like reverse, what do you call it when you're like faking that you're there, like, and then they call it like a syndrome, like you're faker. Well, this is, I think, not knowing where you're going and thinking that that's an indicator that you don't know what you're doing, that you're faking, is sort of the reverse of that. Like people who are very, very, very good at things usually don't know exactly what they're going to do ahead of time. They usually have a pretty good idea of what they're going to do, and then then they get there, and they just have faith in themselves that they'll be able to figure out when they get there. And it is sort of a very, like, we have a word in the United States called cocky, and it just means that like you think you're more capable than you are. Um, it's just like, oh, that guy's so cocky, and then and so like, it is not, I don't think it's cocky to you, or it's a fine line between like cocky, being overconfident, being like just, unwilling to sort of take a fair look at where you're at, and just assume that you're great, and then being confident, uh, that having confidence in yourself, so that like you do take a practical look and say, yes, I do not foresee any issues. I imagine issues that might get in the way? Yes. Do I foresee any issues? No. So it is something to note. It's not a problem, but it's something to note that at this point, if you add a viz, it doesn't update there. I do not think that's something that we want to fix, anyways. Um, but I do think it's something, um, because the thing is, it's just through coincidence, this update up here, um, is, let's see, I think, what if I change this to 2? I don't know, and then I change it back to 1. I think it might have reloaded everything though. Yeah. So anyways, let's reload. Who knows what I might have done in there. I don't think anything, but okay, so we have our 1. Boom. Update. Okay, so that's good. So now this seems to be working fine, but we want the width. We want this canvas to have this. And so this is coming from the ST width. And the ST width is basically what I want to be the user's width. But the problem is that when you're in edit mode, I just want it to take everything up. And I think that makes sense. So basically, like, I could see an ST width of um, 200 by 200, but then in here, this width being like 600 by, or 800 by 600, and then so in this mode, I want to show it as like with the full width. The renderer needs to understand, somehow the renderer has to understand that. So, and I guess that is one step down the road. The next step, I'm kind of looking ahead. So the next step, though, the problem that's sitting in front of me is I want this to actually take the whole width up and the height up. And so that's going to lead to possibly um, another timing issue, because like, when does this width end up taking its full 100? Its full space that it's taking. Like right now, we can look at in here, it's taking 844 by 542. So I want that number to get passed in, 844 by and 542. So we have to determine what the width of this visualization is. And I don't know exactly what the best way to do that is, but I do think that I'm pretty confident that we're going to want this visualization to have a template reference variable. And like, so you got to keep in mind that Angular, I think for the most part, is designed to be like sort of a productivity system. So it's supposed to be like a system that is like for doing like work. Um, Work isn't the right word. For doing like transferring data, and manipulating and taking care of data. You know, doing all the things associated with like data. So it's really well suited for that. And not only is it well suited for that, but it also has like a good history of like what the best practices are. As far as dealing with like graphics and imagery and stuff like that, and how you should interact with the DOM and all that, I don't think that the best practices are very well established, because it's just not something people do very often. But so, but I'm 99% sure no matter what I do, I'm going to want to make a template reference variable here, and editor, no, view. So that's the viewer. I believe that's how we set up a template reference variable. Now we want to get a reference to this. So what we want to do is we come in here, and there is I believe it's a decorator called viewChild. So it's a child of the view, which is, you know, makes sense. It's not it. So for me, like, it's my brain just automatically sort of turns this view word into a verb. So it's like, oh, I'm getting something that views the child, which is kind of true, but it's just a coincidence. It's actually a child, one of the children of the current view is what it is. So this is more like an adjective, not a verb. And everything got a lot easier for me once I started looking at it that way. So now this is our editor, right? Editor view. And then, and I think what we do is we actually say viewChild. And then I think we give it the name of the component, which is visualization, you know, viewer. And hitting this back button. I believe I put that name in there. And then I have to call it there's like another thing we're supposed to bring in. I can't remember what it is. Let's see if we have any implementations of viewChild in this application yet. So here's where we do so it's an element ref or undefined. Is how I did it here. So we need this element ref. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit this back button because I don't even know where I was there. And I'm just going to put a comment here. Boom. I have an extra colon. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Let's see, let's go back. Okay, let's just go forward. Let's go back, click here. Oh, okay, did I not put the @ in front of there? I don't think I did. @viewChild, viewer. For some reason I thought we put that there. So go back to here again. Oh, I needed to put that in quotes. And then element ref, I believe, also comes from core. And then so ng on init, I throw out the ID. I guess we don't need that anymore. I think I might have even committed that, so that's kind of a bummer. Console.log this dot editor view. Let's just see. I think we'll get a link to the Java. Yeah, so there we go. So that is that. That doesn't seem right. Okay, so it has its style, 300 by 300. Let me go back to this view. App layout. Okay, that's right. So yeah, the editor view right now we're hard coding it, but what I would like it to actually, it's kind of weird, right? I feel like let's see, sources, elements, visualization. See, that's the what I want is a reference to this thing. Maybe I'm all right. Viewer, yeah, so that's viewer, visualization. Class. Oh, okay. I want to see class. Yeah, class visualization. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so this is this guy, and inside of here is this guy, and I think that maybe I'm only seeing the child. Maybe that's the piece of the puzzle I've always gotten wrong. I always, it seems like it should be a reference to this up here. But see, this doesn't have the class visualization. So maybe, man, if this is, yeah, so it looks like I do not quite understand what the view child does. Because I thought it would give me a reference to this. So saying, hey, this is going to be a reference to this visualization. But when I console log it out, I actually have a reference to that, which is weird. Oh, that's the wrong. Okay, that was the wrong view child. So I have more than one view child, and this is coming from viz component, but the one I want is from app layout component, and it is undefined. That. Okay, that was funny. Okay, so on init, the this doesn't even exist yet. So we want to use like on like after another event. So let's see, 8:41. Okay, so we still have time. So basically, we want to do something like after view init. So we want to do like this. I believe we're already implementing that. So we just want to add this right here. I don't know what that's called. An interface. We want to add this interface at the app view init interface. Oh. Okay, so this doesn't even implement that. So I don't, that's weird. Implements and it is so strange that it'll still run it even if you haven't, you know, defined it up there. And I don't know if it's always been that way or if that's something that kind of slipped through the cracks in one of the later builds. I could definitely see that. Now, I've definitely worked at places where we didn't, like where we had examples of things going out there, and it does throw like a console warning or something like that. And maybe when you do your build, I know that there is a point in time where you sort of get a warning. And see, this is what I was talking about with timing. Maybe if we set this value after viewing it, it might be too late. I don't know. That's something I've definitely been trying to. Okay, so in init, but after viewing it, it exists. And so what we want to see is what the width of it is. And I can't remember exactly how to do that. But we do want. Because it's going to be on the native element, I believe will be the easiest way to. That's kind of cool. We don't actually need one at this point in the. Okay, so it appears that it is full size already. I believe so weird. I'm gonna go over here to our console. Forgot what we were. Editor view. That makes sense. Editor. Native element. Such a pain in the butt. You have to hit tab. Dot style. I believe it's style. Width. Would expect that to have a width. Let's see, this should be enough for ChatGPT. Have this Angular code. How do offset width. Was it style? Oh, just it has its own offset width, not the style, but the actual. Okay, that's what we want to pass in. So we should be able to, in theory, say have that question mark there, and then just say stop viewer is equal to I do not think we have to put it. It's not complaining, but it didn't help. And then save. I think we are stuck in the debugger at the moment. Get rid of this debugger statement. Boom. Let's hit play the movie. Yeah, let's just close that up. So it did not work. I don't know exactly why. Let's see what our console did. Oh, there's an error. Current value 84. So it did not like this. Expression changed, but it's been. So this is debug mode, runtime error. Yeah, there's, I don't know. At this point, I don't think there's, well, maybe there's usefulness in this. So it's saying that this guy, app component, app layout component, had a runtime error, -100. Who knows what that means? The view has been created. Expression can changed after it was checked. Previous value 300, current value is 844. So it does not like the fact that I changed this value in this circumstance. It doesn't like it. So this is kind of like a lot of times what will happen. Like you run into that, and a lot of times the first thing to check is just like set timeout. Now this is sometimes the only solution, but then sometimes you can. It is this the sort of the guides you to a better solution. I don't know why. That is so weird. I wonder why that is. So let's just try this 800. Let's lower our sort of number of moving parts. It's so weird that did we still get the same spec console log? No, so we did not get the console log error. This viz style is still 300. Okay, so what I want to do So we know that this thing is giving it the viewer width and viewer height. But the viewer width and viewer height is getting set before. I mean, this, yeah, it's getting its default to 200 to 300 before this viewer width and viewer height, and then it's never getting reset. Because, right? So I want to just to for my own, sometimes these, just to be sure that there are numbers, not yeah, see, so basically this is getting set to the default values, which is 311, but we want it to be set to the one that gets passed in. And right now we're just hard coding numbers in because there was some sort of weird thing. But the weird thing was that if we don't do a timeout, then it tries to set it to 311 and to 800. It tries to go to 800 before it has a chance to try to redraw at 311. Is my guess is what's happening there, if we don't have the set timeout. Then we'll get the error. And I have definitely run into these problems before, but it's always been sort of like in a, see, now there's an error. So it's always been in sort of a kind of like, oh, okay, this needs to get done. I need to figure this out. I didn't really get a chance to kind of think about it out loud. It's 8:54, so I only have a few minutes left. So in my experience, what we want to do is create like a variable, like after init complete is equal to false, and then after init complete is equal to true. So basically we're going to let the system do that, but what we can do now, I think, in the template is if d is greater than 1. Okay, so basically, yeah, we don't want to do this unless after commit. Right, so we're not even going to try to draw it until after it's the initialization is complete. Okay, so now the number's coming in, right? So that works. So and it does. We don't have to have that timeout. And then I think now we can say out. What was it? Out. Offset. And offset height. Okay, looks like we are good. Might as well set these to 0, 0, and then just double check that we don't. It's weird that we've lost. Is it something we did? It's like I don't think we ever get our app viz now though. Yeah, we never get an app viz. So it does set the. Oh, so we don't ever get one at all. That's the only solution that we came up with. Is it? So we need to then, I guess. Let's see. I'm curious if. Just want to make sure. So that did go to true. So I don't know why. ID is 1 after commit is true, and then it didn't redraw, even though. Yeah, that's weird. So I think we have timing issues, and this is very typical. It's 8:57, so I got to go. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.